essential book. It's up to you to buy it. 100%. This is actually forecast in the book. I mean, every author wants to say, buy my book. It's an essential book. It's up to you to buy it, whether you want to or not. I'm here to tell you right now that we are on the cusp of thermonuclear war. When you have pro-Trump generals who go on Fox News and spout Keith Kellogg nonsense about Ukraine and Russia, suddenly coming on Fox News wide-eyed going, guys, this is really close to nuclear war. They're waking up. They understand what happened. What happened's not a joke. How would we respond if the Mexican cartel sent trucks loaded with drones to Whitman Air Force Base and struck our B-2 bomber force up to Minot, North Dakota, struck our B-52s, and Barksdale hit our B-52s? Our the air element of the nuclear triad, our strategic nuclear force, and they hit them with the idea of taking them out. And then we find out that the Chinese and the North Koreans supported that. Do you think we'd sit here and go, gosh, we take them off the face of the earth, because it is existential in nature. That's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. The Ukrainians went after Russia's strategic nuclear deterrence, backed by a nuclear power, Great Britain, and facilitated by another nuclear power, the United States. And the Russians have every right to say that that is a preemptive strike, the beginning of a series of actions that could lead to the United States and Great Britain launching a preemptive strike against Russian. That's why it's dangerous, because how do you preempt preemption? With preemption, meaning you just start firing your own stuff. Guys, this is so dangerous. I know people are like, Scott, you keep crying wolf, because it's a dangerous time we live in, guys. We get lucky. Just because we get lucky doesn't mean the threat didn't exist. This is as real as it gets. Look at the photograph of the Bear bombers burned out. Now close your eyes and imagine they're B-2 bombers at Whitman Air Force Base. What the hell would you think you're going to do, and what would you want the president to do? And then be grateful that there's a guy named Vladimir Putin sitting in the Kremlin who isn't a vindictive, revengeful kind of guy, who understands the consequences of his actions. But be prepared, because he will have to send a response that reestablishes Russia's red lines in their nuclear doctrine as a reality, not something that can be violated at will by a nation like Ukraine. On behalf of the British.
Here's Sergei Rybakov, the deputy foreign minister, being asked if a nuclear option is on the table, Scott. Cut number 5.
We demand that both London and Washington react in a manner that will stop this cycle of escalation.
So how will Russia respond? Are all options on the table, or can you rule out a nuclear response?
This is a question to our military people and our Supreme Commander. I am not in a position to speculate. All options are on the table, that's right.
Options are on the table, that's right. What is it about Vladimir Putin that Donald Trump and the American government seem not to understand or appreciate?
I actually think it's the other way around. I think that Donald Trump, again, you're asking me to read between the lines of his social media posting, which is an incomplete representation of the conversation he had. But when Trump says, I spoke with Putin, and he spoke of a very strong response. And then Trump didn't say what he normally says. If he does that, I'll threaten sanction. Trump was like, yep. And he just left that there.
Right.
That means he respects Putin. He understands Putin. He doesn't take Putin lightly, especially now, because I do believe that Trump was briefed by his people and Trump had a wake-up call. And I hope it's a similar wake-up call. If you remember when Ronald Reagan got shot, he was in the hospital bed, and he started reflecting. Then ABC News came out with the program the day after, and he watched that program because he was sort of stuck in a hospital bed. And he turns to his advisors and said, "Is that real? Is that going to be?" He said, "Boss, it's going to be so much worse than that." And he had an epiphany. He went, "We got to stop this." And that's what turned Donald Trump around. We began the process of nuclear disarmament. I'm hoping that Donald Trump got a briefing from Tulsi Gabbard that said, "Hey, boss, they put their nuclear forces on alert and they're going to use them. We came very close." And Trump's like, "How did this happen? We didn't order this." "Boss, it's out of control. The Brits are out of control. The Ukrainians are out of control. We may have elements here out of control." I think that reading into Trump's statement there, he understands this is a very, very, very dangerous situation.